I wanted a cool name, like the Rolling Stones, I thought was very cool. So our first records were under Agneta, Benny, Bjorn, and Annifrid, ABBA.
Mm-hmm.
So it was natural for people like you, when they were playing our records, to abbreviate. And suddenly we found ourselves with that ridiculous name and not being able to do anything about it.
Welcome to Gold, a true legend. And what an honour it is to be chatting to you. Bjorn Ulvaeus, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a big year. We were just saying it's a big year of anniversaries. Shall we start with this one? 5 years of Mamma Mia the Party over at the O2.
That is such a lot of fun. It is really a party above everything else. People, deliriously happy when they leave. Oh. The thing is, it goes on for, if they want to stay on for the disco at the end, it goes on for 5 hours. It is really a night out.
If you could pick one ABBA song for a surprise sing-along during Mamma Mia the Party, which one would it be? And have you joined in when you've been there?
I tend not to sing along, actually. But so other people really do. They all seem to know the words for every song. And I don't know which one they sing more than others. But the usual ones, Mamma Mia, Waterloo, Dancing Queen, Winner Takes It All.
Sure.
They sing along with every song.
And if you could be a guest without anyone recognising you, what part of the experience would you be most excited to see?
I would be most excited to see what are they actually doing, because I would come there. A lot of people come there not knowing exactly what it is. How are they telling a story? What is it that they're doing? And that's what I would be excited about. And then I would learn that, okay, so Nikos, his friends, his family, there's a real-time story going on in there between them. And this is told in spoken dialogue and in music. But it's a totally different story from Mamma Mia.
And it's a great time to go because, lots to celebrate this year. We're talking about anniversaries. 50th anniversary this year of your Eurovision win.
Yes.
Can you believe that, though?
No. And 25 years of Mamma Mia, the musical in the West End.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
Yes.
So can you take me back to that night in 1974? I just wanted to find out from you, what's your most vivid memory of the moment you found out you'd won?
My most vivid moment that I come back to is when I woke up the day after early in the morning, actually. Because it was such chaos when we had won. And it was a mess. I don't remember too much about that, but I remember waking up and thinking, my God, I thought we'd end up number 9 or 6 or something.
You had no idea?
No. and we were this obscure band from the north yesterday, and now we're sort of known around the world. It just happened overnight. And very few things like that happen overnight.
And what about when you watch it back now? How does it make you feel, watching that performance back?
When I look at myself, I realize I was a bit chubby. It always comes to my mind when I see it. And I so remember that I couldn't sit down in the couch because my trousers were too tight. I had to stand up in the shuttle bus going between the hotel and the arena. And I never sat down that night, I think.
And life changed completely. I mean, that catapulted you to international fame. How did things change for you personally and also for the group after that night?
Yeah, personally, we were quite well known in Sweden, in Stockholm. So life didn't change that much. Our private lives just went on. And everyone actually, where we went, of course, knew who we were. But they didn't bother us. So, yeah, we lived a normal life, just continued. But, of course, everything else changed. Suddenly we had, the world was our oyster, as it were.
And did that night, from then on, did it change the way you made music?
Yes, it did change it in one way. Before we won, we had like 1 day a week in the studio, in the recording studio. And we produced other artists. We did a lot of other stuff, just to pay the rent. But with Waterloo, we suddenly could say no to everything else and just concentrate on our songwriting and producing, which made us so much better. And we could be meticulous. We could take our time. Nobody was breathing down our necks anymore. And that's where we honed our songwriting.
And can you take me through that process with you and Benny? When it came to writing songs, was there like a steadfast process that you went through, or?
We would work office hours, 10 to 4 or something like that, every day, just banging away, piano and guitar, and singing some kind of gibberish English that sounded good, and occasionally stopping up and one of us had played something that was interesting. What was that? And then we'd, explore that and see whether we could get from that further on, and sometimes we could, sometimes we couldn't, but we kept it in our minds. But after we'd worked like that for about 3 weeks, we would isolate ourselves for 3-4 days somewhere. Sometimes I remember we went to the Bahamas, we went to Barbados, and then all those little things used to fall into place. We had songs, and when we had 3 songs, that's when we'd go into the studio. After that, I would bring the backing tracks home, I would play them over and over again, and they would tell me what they were about, and I would write lyrics.
And a lot of those lyrics, they deal with some very personal issues, some, relationships. I know you've written hundreds over the years, but are any of those songs particularly special to you?
Usually very much something of myself in most of them, especially when they are about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that stands out is perhaps a song called Slipping Through My Fingers.
Yeah.
Which is in Mamma Mia, the musical as well.
And what was that written about?
That was about my oldest daughter. She was 6, 7, and she was allowed to go to school on her own because the school was very close to where we lived. And Sweden back then, so safe, you didn't lock your doors. And so she was very proud. She had a bag or backpack, I can't remember which. And she left, and she went by herself to school. And she was so proud. And I remember when she looked back and waved.
Oh.
And looking so proud. And at that moment, it was a step into independence. And therefore, I was kind of losing her. And she was slipping through my fingers. So that's what that song is about, and it's very personal.
I think many, many parents right now, this time of year especially, what with it being back to school time, can relate to that.
Yeah.
Back to Eurovision. I mean, ABBA has such a legendary connection now with Eurovision. A lot of your fans were curious why you didn't appear or perform at the 50th anniversary this year. I mean, your presence was there strongly, but what led to that decision?
We just felt, no, we didn't want to do it. For artistic reasons and other reasons, we just thought we would be better represented by our avatars.
But you were together recently in Stockholm at the Royal Palace. This is incredible. Congratulations, being honoured with. We said earlier on, it's like a Swedish knighthood, right?
It is, I guess. Yeah.
First time these have been handed out in, is it half a century?
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah.
I mean, what was your reaction when you found out that you'd be invited to the palace?
Oh, well, that was great because we had been nominated by the Swedish people. People had written to them and nominated us above anyone else. And so it was a very proud moment in that respect.
That's incredible. And can you share any memorable moments from the day? Anything that particularly stood out for you?
I was sitting beside Frida when we waited to be called up. And she said something to the effect of, it feels like we're wrapping the whole thing up. It feels...
Oh, no.
Very, very much feels... But it wasn't. It's not going to be the end. But it felt like, full circle in a way.
I mean, out of all of the big achievements over the years, where does this one rank, do you think?
It ranks up there with the 50th anniversary of Mamma Mia, the party.
The party.
Yeah.
Definitely. I wanted to ask you, because we always ask people this question, but do you remember the first record or piece of music you heard as a youngster that sparked your passion for music?
It wasn't exactly like that, but I do remember the first record that made a real impression on me was Rock Around the Clock, Bill Haley.
Great track.
Yes. That was my first step as teenager, I think, coming in, listening to that and dancing with girls and school dances and stuff. That was my first record. And then I was into Elvis. I was there when Elvis happened. No one has ever had an impact like that. Not even the Beatles, I think.
Oh.
On the world.
So these are the guys that made you want to pick up a guitar. You were in a skiffle group to start with. I think everyone was in a skiffle group back then, though, right?
Yeah, that was so easy. Guitar, home-built bass, and sing American and English folk songs.
Fantastic. Because you were already working with Benny, but obviously it was just pure fate that you met the girls and they came along, and that was ABBA.
Benny and I had been working for a couple of years together when we just, as you said, purely by chance met the girls. So ABBA is completely organic. We come from all over the place, and we just happen to be the people we are. Because Benny and I could have met, some other ladies in other professions. We were not on the lookout for singers. It just happened to us. Everyone thought it was a gimmick when we were two couples.
I mean, what were some of the original names banded around before ABBA?
I wanted a cool name, like the Rolling Stones. I thought was very cool. But we were very well known in Sweden.
Yeah.
So our first records were under Agneta, Benny, Bjorn, and Annifrid. ABBA.
Mm-hmm.
So it was natural for people like you, when they were playing our records, to abbreviate. And suddenly we found ourselves with that ridiculous name and not being able to do anything about it. It was just there.
All because of radio DJs.
Yes, all because of radio DJs.
We'll take that on the chin, I think. And it kind of worked out, really, didn't it?
Yeah, but it is a ridiculous name if you think about it.
I don't know so much.
But then I guess the Beatles is not too witty either, is it?
Again,
but it worked out.
It kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Before you go, I just wanted to ask you, fans are eagerly hoping for Mamma Mia 3. Now, look, last couple of weeks, I've been hearing so many rumours. Can you tell me anything about a third film? Is there anything in the works?
If someone shows me a good script, why not? Why not?
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Gold Radio.